Well, you talk to any Muslim anywhere in the world, that's the first thing they say about, oh, you Jews who killed all the prophets. And they get it from this. This is Muhammad, has picked it up from half-baked reading of this material. And so this is how libels just go and go and go and go and go and go. So, I always try to point out, name one besides the Jesus-John matter, which is really what they're implying here. But aside from the Jesus-John issue, and obviously they didn't kill John, he was killed because he was a popular leader by the authorities. Jesus, I would assume, if we can identify him in any real way, is the same. So let's put them aside, even though that's what it's about. So where are they? And now you've killed the just one, whom you have become the murderers and betrayers. And you who receive the law through angels do not keep it. As if Stephen is going to keep it. Anyway, so they all cried out with a loud voice. In any case, before that, Stephen has a vision. And hearing these things, they were cut to the hearts, they gnashed their teeth at him. Again, the Jews are portrayed full of venom and invective, and Stephen, who's saying these horrible things to them, is full of the Holy Spirit, looked up into heaven, he sees the glory of God, and Jesus standing at the right hand of God. Oh, well, that's the vision James has. So this immediately identifies where they took this from. The early church sources, you remember, Hegesippus and everything, when James is about to be thrown down in the temple, he sees, and you will see the Son of Man in heaven coming on the clouds of heaven. He sees Jesus up in the clouds standing at the right hand of God. This is exactly the vision that James has. And he cried, look, I see the heavens opening and the Son of Man standing on the right hand of God. That is the James vision, basically, at the time of his end, according to early church sources. And crying out with a loud voice, and you'll see, in that thing, if you look at that material in Hegesippus from Eusebius, this is how they're put. And the crowds, they cry out with a loud voice, oh, just one whom we all must obey. And you'll see that is repeated over and over again and again. And bowing down, he cried out with a loud voice, repeated twice. You look at that and you'll see that's the exact language used in the Hegesippus presentation of the death of James. And throwing him outside of the city, they stoned him, and the witnesses laid their clothes at the feet of a young man named Saul. And bowing down, he cried out with a loud voice, Lord, do not lay this sin against him. Well, that's how James's death is portrayed in the church sources. That he says, forgive them, they know not what they do, or whatever. You remember that passage. So again, I haven't proved anything, but I say to you this, I think Sheps is dead right. This is all lifted from the death of James, combined with the other Stephen material, combined with the Joshua material, and you can get you can get a very good idea of the working method. But before we go home, let's look at one last point here. Look at this here. And the witnesses laid their clothes at the feet of a young man named Saul. What do you mean? Nobody who reads this ever questions this. Why are the witnesses laying their clothes at the feet of a young man named Saul? The witnesses don't lay their clothes at the feet of anybody. It's the man who is stoned in rabbinic literature, who is stoned naked, and his clothes are taken off, and his are the clothes that are taken away. So once again, the authors have totally garbled the stoning material from the way the stoning was done. It's not the witnesses who take off their clothes. It's the stoned man who is stripped of his clothes.
There's a possibility that you want to take your jacket off?
No. Okay, look, anyway, any possibility could work, but the point is, once again, these writers are using historical material, either garbling it or changing it or revamping it according to their own lives. Again, if you want to interpret it like that, fine. So they took their clothes off for stoning, but that isn't what they did. They didn't take their clothes off. The whole crowd doesn't take their clothes off. They're going to stone someone. They're not all taking their clothes off. It's the man who is stoned whose clothes is taken off. Again, I don't know what this means, but if you look at of the account we have in the early church fathers of the death of James in Eusebius, one man protests against what is done. A band of the priests of Rechab asked them to stop doing this, and so Saul here takes the place of that person in that narrative. And in Jerome, actually, it isn't a priest of the Rechabites who protests against what's being done. It's Simeon Bar Cleophas, who is the witness who is standing aside, who asked the people to stop. In any case, Acts uses this now to introduce us to Paul. And of course, in the Pseudo-Clementines, Paul is introduced as the man who attacks James at this moment. So all these narratives come together, and you're going to have to decide what the actual historical truth is. I think I'm prejudiced, obviously, but I'm prejudiced with an attempt to try to sort it out historically. I think that my reconstruction is a fairly credible one. If you feel that it would be a better one, I hope you can do a better job. If you like this narrative, stick to this one. I have no idea. I don't have any idea what this is supposed to mean.
You don't want this?
You condemn people on the basis of witnesses, obviously.
Yeah,
But,
but